Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Clear Politics Takeaway for Thursday, February 18th. I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of RCP.
And I'm Carl Cannon, Washington Bureau Chief for Real Clear Politics. Morning, Tom. How cold is it where you are?
You know, I'm not exactly, it's cold. We have a lot of snow, about 3 feet of snow on the ground, and it's snowing again this morning, Carl. So I'm not sure how much we're supposed to get. So we've lived in Evanston, Illinois, Carl, for about 22 years, and I think this is the most snow that we've ever gotten since we've been here.
Yeah, well, it's starting to sleet here in Washington, but there's nothing like what's going on in Texas, Tom. That's actually a national emergency.
And we've still got, I guess, 500,000 is the last number I saw, Carl, without power. I've got a couple friends in Texas. They didn't have power or water for, 48 hours, 72 hours. Some people have been out longer than that. It's a real crisis.
Yeah, it's a life-threatening thing because if the temperature is near zero and you don't have access to heat, and some people have water, some don't. Their pipes have burst. People didn't know necessarily to drip. They don't have all this in Texas. This is the coldest snap they've had since 1989, and it's going to last a lot longer. So
Carl, what is it? Is it the wind turbines that froze the solar panels, or is it fossil fuels? There's a big debate going on online. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been involved. Some other folks. Elon Musk, tweeted out and was, ripping the power grid management company in Texas for not being up to the job. So whose fault is it? Because the blame game is certainly underway.
Well, you've named two people who've weighed into the debate who are not experts in Texas or energy distribution.
Elon Musk does live there now, so
yes, but that's sort of the state of our national discourse. And I was thinking about it this morning, Tom. And I've formulated Cannon's first law of a crisis, which is I'm postulating that this ought to be what we do. First, get through the crisis. Pull together, get through the crisis. And this is not just Texas I'm talking about, everywhere. And then later, after we're through the crisis, figure out what went wrong, assess blame, point fingers if you must. If you really have to, make it a partisan issue, but get through the crisis first. We're not through the crisis yet. Since you asked, obviously what happened is Texas was unprepared for this. And some of the wind turbines did fail. And, for people to automatically go into their partisan corners, don't blame green energy. Green energy is to blame. Well, there's going to turn out to be a lot of things to blame, including that Texas has its own grid. It's not part of the East or West. It's not where Evanston is or Virginia or California. It's got its own system. They're going to have to fix it. But this knee-jerk thing where while people are still in the cold and dark, freezing, to start making a partisan issue, I don't see how that helps. And my guess is it hurts.
I just, as an aside, Carl, I'm going to need an update to Cannon's laws because I always thought that the first law was not to make yourself the story. Maybe that's I'm
going to have to codify them. This would make a good call, and we can talk about them on our Friday podcast when we have more time.
Right. We're going to need an updated edition of Cannon's laws that we can distribute, among our employees. All right, Carl, let's also touch on, before we go, Rush Limbaugh passed away yesterday at the age of 70. Obviously a very, a lightning rod, a controversial figure. A lot of folks loved him, a lot of folks hated him. But setting aside the politics of it, just personally for me, as someone who's hosted a 1-hour radio show for the last, 10, 12 years, I know how hard it is to fill airtime. I once had a guest who, we lost a guest due to technical issues, and I had to fill about 7 minutes of airtime by myself. And after about 2 minutes, I was, rambling like an idiot. It's hard work. And he managed to fill 3 hours of airtime 5 days a week for, in a way that was entertaining enough for him to be number one and stay there for 30 years. Astonishing career in broadcasting, irrespective, again, of what you think about his politics, but certainly a monumental figure in the world of radio broadcasting.
Well, he was a genius at radio, and he sometimes would say he wasn't a conservative pundit. He was an entertainer who happened to be a conservative, and that in some ways comes close to explaining how he could do it, because he was a born entertainer. In person, he was shy, and but that mic went on, and he was anything but shy. Some of the things he said, feminazis and making fun of Chelsea Clinton when she was a teenager for her appearance. That was appalling. Making fun of people who died of AIDS in 1989 or 1990 was inexcusable. He apologized for that. He said it was the thing he regretted most of his career. But he also gave a voice to populism. He had 20 million listeners at his peak, and there's a reason for that. And as the newspapers in the country became more monolithic and corporate, and sort of de facto liberalism became what you found in every paper, there were tens of millions of Americans who thought, that's not the world as I see it. And then this guy showed up, and he was describing the world that they saw, and so he met a need. He filled a niche.
Yeah, and he, as I said, he did it, day in and day out for 30 years, which is an amazing accomplishment. So, R.I.P. Rush Limbaugh, dead at 70.
So with that, you and I, we have two of us, and instead of 3 hours, we've got 6 or 7 minutes, and we're out of things to say. So this underscores your point, Tom.
Look, we could talk about Andrew Cuomo. I'm dying to talk about Andrew Cuomo, but we can save that for our longer weekly podcast wrap up, which we will do tomorrow morning. So everyone can tune into that, because we have more to say. We just don't have time to do it this morning, Carl.
Yes, and we'll talk about Andrew Cuomo's Emmy on Friday. But for now, I'm Carl Cannon, Washington Bureau Chief of Real Clear Politics.
And I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of RCP, and this has been the Real Clear Politics Takeaway for Thursday, February 18th.